My new revenue goal is to hit $1 million in revenue in a year, and I really never thought I would say this. It sounds ridiculous to me that I'm at a point where, it seems like it's possible in the near or distant future. I don't know, but it seems possible. It's crazy to me. And it's really by small steps that I've grown this business. I talk about it in all my videos, so definitely check out, especially the first video where I talk about where I started if you want an intro of who I am. My name is Kirsty and I run A Jar of Pickles, and we make playful products to inspire endless celebration. And it's really a small side project that has really grown from small steps that I've taken and really snowballed to letting me quit my corporate tech career last year, which has been really fun to do and share about. And in my New Year's reflection and working with coaching clients, which by the way, I am taking more coaching clients, so I'll link it in the link below. But I've been really reflecting about how I have hit each stage in my business, like each revenue stage, how I've hit the first 100, how I've hit the first 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and now beyond, and how I am going to hopefully one day reach $1 million in revenue in a year. And I really thought about in each of these stages what I really needed to focus on and really what I really need to concentrate on to make it happen. And I thought I would share those today. So the first 0 to 100 sales. So the one thing I would say is that I think everybody has ideas for their own small business. I think especially in lockdown, everyone got really bored and the ideas really just blossomed. And I cannot tell you how many friends and acquaintances have talked to me about starting a thing. And I think the first 0 to 100 revenue that year you're gonna make really has to do with consistency. It is really, really easy to have ideas and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this product, or I'm gonna start this service, or I'm gonna coach this. But it is really hard to stick to it, especially when that initial excitement dies, or you realize there's like so many hurdles to get over selling or making or creating whatever you want to do. So I would say the first $100 really will come decently easily if you are just consistent, right? If you are really committed to figuring out whatever systems you need to figure out, if you're really committed to figuring out whatever like software you need to figure out, and just being really resourceful but consistent and knowing that it's going to take time, but the consistency of trying to figure it out will get you to $100 in sales. The $100 to $1,000 in revenue year, I would really call experimentation. So that's really when I feel like I was really figuring out like what my customers wanted. I wrote a blog post about it, which I can link below, about how like the evolution of my visual brand and my style of cards really was developing at that time. And I say experimentation because I think I'm really hesitant for people to start businesses with a very, very clear idea in mind, or like, this is exactly what it's gonna be, this is exactly what my product's gonna look like, because you really don't know anything until you poll your audience or your customers. That's something I really learned as a UX designer. I really learned that you can't assume anything. You think that your customers, your users, your clients will like this, but actually they want something completely different. So I always really encourage my coaching clients that you are really largely in an experimentation phase in the beginning when you're scaling to $1,000 a year, where you're trying to figure out what products can I make, what style could it be, what should my packaging be, what should my voice be when I'm talking about marketing, right? So don't be afraid, I think, in that time to really like deviate. You're just trying and seeing what works, right? Getting to that first $1,000 consistently every year, I think, means that you are building a product that attracts new customers, and you are building repeat audience based on the things that you're selling that people are really resonating with. I would say in this phase that people really drop off before they hit $1,000 in sales actually is just too much expectation. I think that a lot of people think that when they start a business, it's gonna be really easy to reach a lot of customers or get people to buy their stuff, but they realize that it actually takes a lot of work to market. It takes a lot of work to keep up your backend systems and keep everything organized, etc. So I would really say, beyond experimentation, you just really need to keep at it and really need to remember that you are really not sure what your customers are going to like, and just be open-minded and don't be married to one idea for too long, right? Definitely see those ideas through and set good goals, which I talked about in one of my last videos. But definitely if you need to pivot, that is the time to pivot, and that is the time to experiment before you're really locked into a brand that you are known for and that is harder to pivot off of, right? Like, don't spend too much time figuring out a really detailed business plan, figuring out a really detailed product, or buying way too much inventory before you really have that customer base to prove that's what they need and want from you. So the 1,000 to 10K revenue stream, I would say the thing that helped me the most was really what I would call discipline. I think when you're hitting $1,000, thousands of dollars in revenue consistently every year, it can feel really legit. Like your side business, your hustle hobby, whatever is making that much profit for you, hopefully, is really cool. I think at that point I was like, feeling really cool that, I just had a really good amount of side money that I could play with, right? But I think in that time, I started to be like, oh, what can pickles be? What can it grow, right? What can it grow to be? And I was like really excited. And I think it's very easy at that point to have shiny object syndrome, number one, to feel really like, oh, this person is doing this on social media, so maybe I should try this. oh wow, like this is a new program that I can learn from, and I should take this like marketing program from this guru. Oh, but this person also has a marketing program. Maybe I should learn from that. And you take all these different classes or whatever. And then what you end up doing is you start focusing on like way too many different things, and you start having way too many like strategies, marketing that you want to try, way too many products you want to design. And I would say there's a discipline of really focusing and trying that. I think for me, it really helped me that I was very stingy with my small business. I was very, 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 very unwilling to spend money because it was really a hobby at that point, and I was like, I don't want to spend too much. And so it helped me really focus because my resources were really limited. I wasn't like taking a bunch of like classes, online classes to like figure stuff out. I was really trying to discipline and focus on growing and experimenting within the confines of what was working in my business, right? So that 1,000 to 10,000, I was really like, these are my goals that I'm gonna set. This is within those goals what I'm gonna experiment with and commit to, etc. And that really helped me grow to a consistent 10K revenue every year. I would say the other thing about this point is that you might start to feel discouraged. I think I have a lot of coaching clients in this kind of cohort where every single year they're doing something and it doesn't really seem like things are working, or they're trying and it's like failing, and they're like, oh, like it's so discouraging. I have so far to go. Like all these people are growing so much faster than me. So I would say there's a discipline actually to know that you are on your own place, to stop scrolling the socials and really focus on producing the socials, not just like consuming it, right? And really focus on the things that you need to grow, because everybody is so different. I think something that really helped me understand the discipline in that era was that I understood that social media was a tool to help me. So I love social media. I think I will always love it because I feel like I've established a healthy boundary with it. Like I know it's there to inspire me, not to harm me, and not to make me feel like, oh, like I'm not good enough and all these people are going faster. Because there's always gonna be people that are going faster than you. There's always gonna be people who go viral overnight. That's not something you can control. So for me, I don't focus on that because it's like very random and what's the point kind of thing of looking at these people. So I think the discipline really there is to not have shiny object syndrome, not have this imposter syndrome of, oh, I can never be that, and not be like, oh, I have so far to go, right? It's a discipline of focusing on those goals, focusing on what you are focusing on, and knowing that you are exactly where you are. From the 10 to 100K, that's a very, very large range, I know, but I really boiled it down to, I think, figuring out how to scale and how to set up your systems. So from 10 to 100K, you're gonna have a lot of repeat tasks that you are doing. You're gonna have a lot of products that are established, product cycles that are established, people that you are reordering from, customers that are reordering from you, very common customer service questions, etc. By then you've kind of figured out like your marketing voice and your marketing channel of choice, etc. So there's gonna be a lot of repetitive tasks, right? And I think the one thing that really helps in those repetitive tasks, really figuring out how can I like document this so that I know exactly what I'm gonna do every single time, right? Like something like taxes is a really good example, right? I don't fill out my quarterly taxes all the time. It's once a quarter, or my yearly taxes, but I have like very good documentation of how I figure out those numbers so that every quarter or every year when I'm looking it up, I just look at my documentation and I'm like, I don't need to sit for 3 hours to figure out how I did this last year. I can just look at that document, follow it, and I'm done in like 30, 40 minutes, right? So I think that scaling and creating those systems of repetitive tasks that you can always go back to and save time because you figured out how to do it, figured out like where things need to be for maximum efficiency when you're doing orders. That's really the systems that I'm really talking about. I think that really helps with scaling because you're minimizing the time of things that you are repeating and maximizing the time of things that you can experiment with and use to grow, right? So I like to call these tasks that you're repeating like executional tasks. And I like to call this kind of side of the task like experimental growth tasks, right? Strategic, like you're trying to figure out how to grow the business versus just trying to execute on the business, customer service, reordering, taxes, all those things, right? So setting up those systems is really gonna help you scale and have a very stable business as you're getting into the, I'm going to the 10 to 100K, right? 10 to 100K range, right? Like that is really what I focused on in those years. And lastly, the 100,000 to $1 million, which obviously is now even greater range that I am in right now. I think the focus for me is really outsourcing and figuring out how to hire a team and all these things. I think it's very hard because now all of a sudden I have a bunch of people that I am starting to manage and I need to be in charge of, and people are depending on me and asking me like, where's this? Or how do I do this? Or do you approve of this? Which is like super weird to me, you know? And I think that is something that I need to focus on because I am not used to it. I'm very used to working by myself. I think that has been really the big thing that I have been focusing on as I've moved from multi-hundred Ks to now hopefully, later on $1 million in revenue. And I think that team is just gonna need to keep growing. So I need to figure out really like what kind of roles that I need, what kind of things I wanna outsource, what kind of things do I wanna keep to myself that is like my expertise. And I think that's the theme. Maybe one day I will make a video about like the individual, like 100, 200, 300, 400K, because I'm sure it's very, very different. But, at least at this moment, that is my focus right now. So I think every single phase that you are hitting different revenue amounts is going to be very different on what you are focusing on. I think the majority of my audience, especially from what I know from my coaching clients, really is in that like pre 100,000 stage. And I would really say in that stage, it is really, really important to really focus and have discipline on the things that you are working on. It can be really discouraging sometimes to compare yourself and just focus on too many different things. But if you're really trying to focus on growing what is working in each of those stages and kind of expanding on that and pivoting on that, you will get to a point like I did unknowingly, really, of getting to this large revenue if you're really focusing on what works and really not trying to be too distracted on other things and what doesn't work and just having a mindset of like, I'll never get there, etc. This is my journey. I'm curious if you've hit any of these stages. You might disagree with me and what has focused on that theme. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions. And I will also link every week working with me and any other workshops that I will be holding soon.